Patrick Stack here with Sports Biz Camps, co-founder. Really excited to welcome Gerard Littlejohn to the series. Gerard is the executive director of the Steve Smith Family Foundation. Good friend. He's going to give us a lot of information. He's worked in a lot of different aspects of the industry. Before we jump in to all that fun stuff, Gerard, let's get your stats.
Hometown, Lexington, North Carolina. Even though I was born in Charlotte, I claim Lexington, so Lexington, North Carolina. College, UNC Charlotte. And then you said favorite sport growing up?
Yeah.
Football. Football.
And then your major was?
Major was communications, minor in public relations.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Great way to get started here. All right, so warm-ups, quick hitting questions.
Yep.
You're from North Carolina. Duke or UNC?
UNC. I don't even know why you talked of any other team. UNC.
All right. Favorite UNC player of all time, not named Michael Jordan?
Vince Carter.
Yeah. Man, that team with like him and Antoine Jameson. Oof.
They didn't win a championship.
It's unbelievable. Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Man, I'm asking easy questions apparently.
Yeah.
You walk into the huddle. You know, you played football. You walk into the huddle, the game on the line. Who do you want playing quarterback?
Well, first off, if I'm playing wide receiver, odds are I'm not going to catch it because I play DB. So that's number one. But number two, quarterback that I want to throw me the ball. First thought is my high school quarterback, Corey Holt. He played backup at Virginia Tech. He was Marcus Vick's backup. So he'd be my first choice. But quarterback that everybody knows, I'd have to go with Michael Vick, man. He's the most electrifying, just kind of exciting player to watch, man. Just, when he was at Virginia Tech and running around like a crazy man, in the Sugar Bowl, even though they lost that game, the NFL. So I'd have to go Michael Vick. And I got a ton of Michael Vick stories I can't go into. I had a chance to actually meet him. One of the most interesting people I've ever met. So I'd say Michael Vick.
Awesome. And then, you're walking out of the tunnel. What is the song or theme song you want played as you're walking out of the tunnel?
I'm a little bit older, and I'm from the South, so I'm going to say Pastor Troy Re-Ray. That's only because we used to come out to that anyway. So I'm going. Some of these kids, they're never even going to know who Pastor Troy is. But
all right, they're going to look it up. We're going to see a big spike in downloads.
Yeah, right.
Pastor Troy. All right, man. I got a couple questions for you. We kind of break everything into 4 quarters.
Okay.
So each is about 4 minutes per quarter or so. So to start it out, like the first quarter, let's go back to little Gerard, right? Like maybe grade school Gerard. What was his relationship with sports? Like, what was your initial entry point into the sports world? Do you remember? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, gosh, as far back as I can remember, I was involved with sports in some kind of way. I mean, I remember being in second grade and being on a basketball team, and my dad was actually one of the coaches. So being involved in that, and just early memories of really basketball was it. My mom wouldn't let me play football up until I got to middle school. So basketball was really it for me. I never played baseball. I'm trying to think of any other sports. I didn't play soccer. So basketball was really it up until I got to middle school. And I begged my mom to let me play. All my cousins played, and my cousins were really, really good. And so, like the Littlejohn last name in Lexington, it's good stuff. It's a good last name. So a lot of people, if you're back home and you say you're a Littlejohn, people have the expectation that you're a good football player. And so I asked my mom, could I play? I begged her. 7th grade, she said no. 8th grade, she finally said yes. 8th grade, I was actually starting tight end. I was a little bit chubbier. So I was actually starting tight end. And I don't want to say I was a natural because I was okay. I didn't play college football or anything like that, but I played every single year after that, and it's always been my love. So, and I get a chance to work pretty close to it. So it's always been one of my first loves. So that's been kind of my sports on the field journey.
Who was your idol? Like, who was your sports idol at that time when you were growing up?
I'd say once I really started getting into football, I'd say Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Deion, because Deion was opposite of me. He's flashy, he's loud, he's brash, he's the fastest guy on the field. So I love Deion. And even now, again, full circle, got a chance to meet him. He signed a jersey for me. He's one of the few people I've ever asked for an autograph. So he signed a jersey for him. I got it framed upstairs. So Deion football-wise, but then basketball-wise, I mean, again, I'm an 80s kid, so Michael Jordan, just coming up watching Bulls games, we'll talk about a little bit later, but just kind of being around experiences, going to the old Hornets games. I got a chance to go to a Bulls game before, saw them in person. So that would definitely be, kind of my entry points into just knowing about sports.
Deion Sanders is a great call. Like, people forget, like, he played two different sports in the same day.
In the same day, dude.
Like, can you imagine someone doing that right now? You would play for the Braves. Can you imagine anyone really thinking about that right now? Everybody was Kyler Murray, two-sport star. Like, Deion was the guy and excelled.
Russell Wilson was a little bit, Russell did the same thing, but no one's doing that right now. I mean, that's
crazy,
insane, right?
It's crazy. Awesome. Great job in the first quarter. Well done. Moving on. So we're talking about growing up. So growing up, Gerard. So you're in high school. You're kind of getting around college. What do you think you're going to be, or what's kind of the career path that you're thinking about at that time?
I'd say probably around junior, senior year when I really started applying for college and knowing that was a reality. Where I'm from, that's not a reality for everybody, if I'm being real. A lot of people around me where I grew up, I'm a single parent kid. I grew up in some not so nice neighborhoods. I'm not going to say I grew up in like a slums, but I grew up in a not so nice neighborhood. So it wasn't always an aspiration or something that I saw. But as I started getting older, I remember taking, I think it was my senior year, I took a computer engineering course, and I was dead set on being like a computer science major. Actually, at the end of that course, you get what's called an A+ certification, and I got a voucher to where I could take that test. And if I took that test and I passed it, I could have easily walked in and got a job being like a help desk administrator, just kind of like entry level kind of computer job. So at that point in time, that's what I wanted to do. A few of my friends were computer science or management information systems majors. So that was for me, probably around senior year, I was locked dead on being a computer science major.
Nice. And was there a specific major challenge you remember from high school and college that you really had to overcome? I mean, thinking about our students as they start to work their way out of high school and college, like, what was the biggest adjustment you had to face?
So for me, again, growing up in a smaller town and smaller high school, my graduating class was 95 people. We had 700 students total at our school. And so when you're a pretty good student and then you're a pretty good athlete, everybody knew who I was. And so I'm not going to say I got pushed along because I was a pretty good student. I was an A/B, sometimes C, student, but I was a pretty good student. And so, but even then it was, teachers were like, hey, make sure you get to practice on time. Hey, make sure you turn this in, Gerard. So I had a lot of that. And then when I got to college at UNC Charlotte and there's 25,000 plus students, it was really going from being a big fish in a little pond to being a little fish in a big pond. And I had my struggles with that for sure, of transitioning. I've had the same friends my entire life. My friends that I grew up with and played basketball with and played football with, they're still my best friends now, right? And so they've always been my friends. And so when I got to college, I was the only person that went to UNC Charlotte. I said one guy went to Virginia Tech, a couple guys went to North Carolina A&T or State or wherever the case may be. We kind of split up. But I was the only person who went to UNC Charlotte. So I struggled in that transition for a little bit. So that would be my biggest adjustment that I'd say is going from little fish big fish in a little pond to little fish in a big pond. And it was a pretty interesting transition.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing. So now we're moving on to professional stuff. Mm-hmm. So you obviously, we're going to talk more about your role with the Steve Smith Family Foundation, and you've worked at a couple different places. Let's go back to the start.
Yep.
That first internship with the Bobcats. How did you get it, and what was your role with the Bobcats, and what was the impact of that as you look at your long-term career? Because we talk about that a lot. A lot of students start with internships. Yeah.
So I knew going into my junior year of college that it was time for me to do an internship. And I had, again, I was a communications major. So part of finishing my degree was doing an internship. And so I was pretty excited about it because I wanted to get hands-on experience in my field. And prior to getting that internship, I really wanted to try to work in sports. I had been to like this sports marketing seminar that was on campus and just kind of fell in love with that idea. And so I actually had to talk to my advisor. So once you get to college, you of course are assigned an advisor that kind of helps you pick your classes and do all that kind of stuff. And so talked to her about doing an internship. She gave me a list and told me to circle 3 of them that I really wanted to do. One was the Charlotte Hornets. They were the Bobcats then, but we'll just refer to them as Hornets. Power 98, which is the radio station down here in Charlotte, hip hop station. And then back then it was the Verizon Amphitheater. I guess it's PNC now, but the concert theater. And I applied for all three. She actually knew somebody there in the HR department, and I got a call back from the Bobcats. They hired me for a public relations internship, which is basically not quite marketing, but basically you're dealing with the publicity of a team. Whenever news media, journalists, television stations, whenever they want to cover the team, you're working with them to get them the information they need. And then you're also working with players, coaches, anyone who's going to be interviewed. You're working with them to make sure they're prepared. So I did that as an internship, and I got it. And that was the summer of my junior year. And it kind of took off after that. And I've been working in sports literally ever since then.
So what are you doing now with the Steve Smith Family Foundation?
So I am the executive director. And so what that means is I run former Carolina Panther and Baltimore Ravens Steve Smith, who now works for NFL Network. I run his foundation. So literally what I do has literally nothing to do with sports, to be honest with you. It is literally running a nonprofit that helps families that are coming out of transition, whether they've been in a domestic violence incident or whether they need access to medical care, mental health care, all those things. We have a free medical clinic that we operate here in Charlotte. We've seen a little over 4,000 people since we opened in 2016. Now we have done stuff. We've done football camps. We've done all that stuff. But right now we're really focused on how do we make the community better. So that's what I've done. And then also I serve as his manager. So any type of his endorsements, whether it is, an Under Armour or anything like that that comes about, all of his appearances, and whenever he has media and has PR, I'm the one who's doing all of that. So I wear a number of different hats, but every day is not the same, but that's what I love about it too.
So you're his manager, and then you obviously has his own agent. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to work with an athlete in that capacity? A lot of our students probably want to either be your agent or a manager. Just talk about maybe some of the things they don't really understand what it's all about.
Yeah, so a lot of times I think people hear agent and it's a nice, big and shiny word, but really what an agent does is negotiate their playing contracts, a broadcast contract. So whenever you are with the team or you're with the broadcast network, you have a contract that basically says you're going to work for this entity for X number of years, we'll pay you X number of dollars. And then in that contract, it has how many days you're going to work, how many games you're going to play, all that kind of stuff. So that's what an agent will typically do. A manager is someone like me who will organize where that player needs to go. So you're basically lifting up anything that's in that contract. I'm lifting that stuff out of the contract and making sure we're there. So if we have an appearance, I'm organizing those appearances. If we have social media posts that need to go up, I'm doing those posts. If there's events that we need to coordinate, I'm running the ship on that. So I'm pretty much the first point of contact to anything business-wise, appearance-wise, and then for Steve, anything community-wise, I'm pretty much the first point of contact, and I am probably his right-hand man that you'd say, or chief of staff, or whatever you want to say. I'm pretty much everything runs through me.
Busy.
Understatement.
Yeah. All right, man. So fourth quarter here, playing Monday morning quarterback. Fourth quarter.
That's fine. Yeah.
Looking back, if what do you wish you would have known in high school that you know now about your career path and ultimate career in this industry?
I thought a lot about that one. I can't say that there's anything that I really would say to myself. I mean, I think everyone's journey is specific to them. And too often I see people get frustrated because something's taking too long or someone else got something and they wanted to do it. So for me, the biggest piece of advice that I can give someone is just be patient where you are and enjoy the ride, enjoy the experience. Too many times, like, people just get too helter-skelter and they forget about it, but just enjoy the ride. So I'd say that, because there were often times I felt that myself too, that I wasn't getting something in the time that I wanted, or I thought I'd be further along when I was 26 or 27, or I ended up losing a job when I was working with the Bobcats earlier than I expected that I would. So, but when I look back now, I'm 35. I'm 35, and so I look back and I appreciate every single part of the journey because I learned something along the way.
And when you say 35, do you feel old?
Mentally, yeah, but now I'm starting to get like pains in my knee and stuff like that. So I'm kind of getting old though, man.
It's crazy, man. People our age are retiring, right? Like from sports, like that's old. Retired. I'm like, that dude's my age.
Yeah.
All right, man. last question. Hail Mary advice, right? So you got one last chance of making an impression on these students. Best piece of advice you've gotten, or best piece of advice you'd like to give them before you say goodbye.
So I'd have two pieces. One, I heard this line that's always stuck with me: "Bloom where you're planted," and that basically means wherever you're set foot, whether you've been an intern, whether you're in high school and maybe you're the second string running back, whatever the case may be, bloom where you're planted. Just be thankful of where you are and make the most of it, of wherever you are in that journey. So if you're that second string running back, work your butt off so that you can be first string next year, right? Or you got to be on your chemistry test. All right, bust your butt to where you get an A next time. So just bloom where you planted. And then the second thing I'd say is, as you get older, it's act like you've been there before. And a really quick story that I'll tell. One of my most interesting sports moments is when I was interning with the Bobcats, and Michael Jordan bought into the team, and he became minority owner. And there was one night I was leaving. Oftentimes I'd have to work really, really late. And there was one particular night where I had to leave the arena at 1 o'clock, because we had a West Coast game and I had to do stuff in preparation for that. And when you have a West Coast game, deadlines are a little bit extended because they're on West Coast time. And I'm leaving the arena late, hit the button to go up on the elevator to go out to the parking garage. And as soon as the elevator doors open up, there's this tall, bald-headed dude with the earring. And it was Michael Jordan. And it was me and him on the elevator. And he's like, "Hey, what's up, young blood?" And I'm like, "Yo, what's up, MJ?" And he gets off. And I'm like, crap, that was Michael Jordan. But I didn't ask him for his autograph. I didn't ask him for a selfie. I didn't ask him to put him on my Snapchat. I don't even have Snapchat. I'm using that as an example. I didn't ask him for any of that stuff. I just acted like he was a regular guy. And the point is, act like you've been there before. Because some of you guys, you may go on and have a really cool sports career, and you're going to want to remember that. You never want to take advantage of people. You never want to be a fanboy or fangirl. So also act like you've been there before.
Appreciate you, man. Great work on this. The students really appreciate it. And thank you so much for giving back. That's what makes this industry so great, is people such as yourself want to help out. So thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Been Gerard Littlejohn with the Sports Biz Camps Speaker Series. Thanks, Gerard.
Thank you.